This is the Office of School Quality's 2021-2022 Monitoring and Support Training for Level 3 and Federally Identified Schools. Than what has been done in the past, I think you're going to find that it's going to be very supportive of what you're trying to do in the school. It's going to focus a lot today on that comprehensive school improvement plan, and we're going to support you with training and all kinds of documents. And so another part of this is to understand the resources available to support the development, implementation, and monitoring of that comprehensive school improvement plan. We want you to start out on the right track as you begin the year, and then we'll come back around in the spring and look at the data and efforts of that implementation. Really, we're going to focus on this first round of meetings in the fall on that comprehensive school improvement plan. And many of you joined us last month just a few weeks ago, actually, for a 1-hour webinar overview on the comprehensive school improvement plan. We are actually we should have that link for that soon, the recording of that presentation that you'll be able to access if you were unable to get to that. We're also going to provide you just a whole bunch of supportive documents and things following tomorrow's training. And so we'll be sending an email out to your OSQ contact, and that email is going to include the slides from our webinar on the CSIP. It's also going to have the slides from today. We'll be sharing those with you. So all this today you're going to be getting. We're also going to share sample templates of a comprehensive school improvement plan. You don't have to use that template, not at all, but it may stir your thinking where you may want to use it. We're also going to share an at-a-glance document that really defines a lot of those key terms in the CSIP. We're going to give you checklists. We're going to give you a rubric. We're going to come back to talk about this a little later in the presentation. I just want to share with you that we're going to support all of this presentation today with documents that you're going to be able to really put to use as you see fit to support and undergird your school improvement efforts. We also are going to build a collaborative relationship with division and school leaders for monitoring and supporting Level 3 and federally identified schools. And our purpose really is not to play a gotcha game, not to be critical, but to help you and to reflect with you, to work with you, to support you, to provide all kinds of support and help. And that is our fundamental goal. Our work is based in our VA CSIP model. It's this continuous improvement process cycle. And so it's this plan, do, study, act. And that's really what all of our work focuses around, from the comprehensive school improvement plan to a lot of other pieces that we do. But when we look at this, the foundational questions that we all need to work on is, what are we trying to accomplish? How we know that a change is an improvement? And what changes can result in an improvement? And it all comes from that comprehensive needs assessment. So before you can know how to create an improvement plan, before you can know how to move forward, you want to know where you are. You want to assess what are the issues we're dealing with. Look at the data sources, kind of figure out those root causes, and then develop a plan to move forward. And so we're going to work with you on doing that. We'll talk more about that in the specifics, but just want to really emphasize that. And you notice that circle in the middle of our diagram. At the center is monitoring. But when you develop a comprehensive school improvement plan based on your needs, you design that plan, implement and measure, you analyze to gauge success, and then you decide if this is working well, if there are pieces that you want to bring in from other schools or other plans or change things up, or just, dump parts of it entirely. And then you always want to be reflecting, reassessing, going back to your comprehensive needs. You want to always be looking at how can we improve and how can we get better? And then always collecting data. And it's, old days of the comprehensive school improvement plan. Developed a plan and it sat on the shelf maybe to the end of the year, maybe it was never looked at, and that's not going to help you improve or move forward. And so the best comprehensive school improvement plans are these living, breathing documents. Now there's no perfect CSIP because it's a living, breathing document. It changes, it's corrected, it's adjusted. We're always using it. It's an interactive piece that really guides our improvement process. And that's what we're trying to do and trying to support you in your efforts to improve your school. And that's why you're here. And that's why you work with the schools you do, because you want to be that factor of change. You want everything to improve for your students and student achievement. And so in terms of our implementing and monitoring process, we really have 5 phases we look at. And if you notice, revisiting our comprehensive needs assessment is off to the side, because that is, and it's an arrow that goes to it, because that's something we always have to be looking at. We always have to be looking at that baseline data. Where are we starting at? How is it changing? How is it affecting our plan? And then how do we know if we're having growth? And when we talk about implementing and monitoring our comprehensive school improvement plan, the phases are based on this: implementing. Are we doing what we said we are doing? And then monitoring that implementation. Are we doing it with fidelity? I think we've all seen plans or been in schools or been a part of a PD where there were great plans lined up. There were great things we said we were going to do, and it was done half-heartedly, and it never really amounted to much. So we really want to see if we're implementing with that fidelity. Are we really doing that? And then that other piece is there impact? Are we really getting any kind of bang for our buck, so to speak? Are there results from our efforts? Is it making a difference? And then we want to monitor the resources we said we were going to use for our plan. Do we have the technology resources? Do we have the materials? Do we have the human resources? And of course, did we provide the training for our teachers? Did we provide the training and resource to our families? Do people understand how to use the resources? And do our leaders of the school understand them as well? So that monitoring of resources, and always coming back around to reflecting, reassess, and revise. Always thinking about how can we make things better, celebrating our successes, being proud of that, but also looking at critically where are the areas we can improve and get better. Of course, we always have to be focused in on the state and federal requirements. And so schools that have any level 3 school quality indicators, as provided in the law, should revisit their comprehensive needs assessment, update the school's comprehensive school improvement plan, and be monitored regularly by the division and the Office of School Quality. I wouldn't stress too much on the part about having to have a CNA reviewed and a CSIP, because every school is supposed to have that. Whether you're level 1, level 2, level 3, every school should be looking at their needs assessment and looking at their CSIP, because every school in the Commonwealth of Virginia does some things well and has some things they need to improve on. We also want to talk about the implementation of evidence-based interventions must be evaluated annually to comply with ESSA requirements, particularly for our federally identified schools, our CSI schools. Our plan must have a mechanism for progress monitoring. It uses a systematic process for gathering, analyzing, sharing, and using information. This is how we make informed decisions and improve our schools. And the focus of school improvement planning is to improve the quality of teaching and learning in the school to have a positive impact on student outcomes. Remember, it's all about student achievement. When you think about all the things you set forth, all the things you're doing in your school, student achievement, student outcome, that has to be at the center, that has to be at the focus. And if it's not, you kind of have to do that reflect, revise, reassess. Kind of maybe we've gotten off track. And when you boil it all down, teaching and learning are the crucial and critical elements of any school. So let's speak in more specific terms. Our timeline for 2021-2022. In the fall of 2021, the Office of School Quality will conduct virtual meetings with level 3 schools and any federally identified schools to review the CSIP and provide feedback. And federally identified schools include some level 2 and federally only identified schools. They're going to go through this process with the level 3 schools. So really want you to understand that this is a little different, but it's going to be supportive and helpful. And we want to always encourage and support and provide anything that you need to make your school better. So that first meeting you're going to have in the fall with us, a week before that meeting happens, you're going to submit your comprehensive school improvement plan to the Office of School Quality. And it's going to be done by your OSQ contact. So if you're the principal of a school, make sure your division contact, your division leadership has that to send to the Office of School Quality. So we're going to get that from the division contact. And so when we have that meeting, we're going to kind of share and talk with you about your CSIP. And really, it's mostly going to be the principal talking. And I emphasize the principal. Love to have division leadership there, want you there, but it's crucial and critical that that instructional leader of the school, that principal, is there leading that discussion, sharing their insights, sharing their reflections with us, and asking us for questions and support and seeing what we can do to help. After the meeting ends, we will submit a document that will share some recommendations, commendations from the meeting, but it will all be done in a way that's supportive and based on your needs. In the winter, there will be a meeting for our federally identified schools, our comprehensive support and improvement schools, our CSI schools, for a mid-year review specifically focused on the implementation of those EBIs, those evidence-based interventions. And there'll be a training before that to prep for that, so you don't have to remember all these things about the winter and the spring meetings. In early spring 2022, Gulf School Quality will conduct virtual monitoring meetings. All these are virtual meetings with level 3 and any federally identified schools to review monitoring, implementation, and that impact of the CSIP. By this time, you'll have that data. You'll have the ability to assess the growth. And we really want to, and this is something to think about. What's your baseline data? Where are you starting from? And then we want to think about the growth and really want to support you with that. And, we want to support you in building those effective essential actions and action steps. And so that'll be a great time to discuss, and reflect and reassess and revise, and we can really, have great discussions and provide support to you for what you need to do that. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Rebecca, and she's going to share more about that first visit.
Thanks, Mike. We're going to go through and talk a little more detail about the fall visit. So you just heard that CSIP review meeting. So we're going to talk about how we're going to schedule those meetings, go over some ways, preparation and resources that'll help you prepare, what we'll do during that 30-minute meeting, and then the follow-up. So the next few slides are kind of walking you through the process of what will happen this fall. Okay. So first and foremost, we need to schedule those 30-minute meetings. So we have another training tomorrow. So after tomorrow's training, division contacts will receive an email from us. And in that email, there will be a sign-up link to schedule your appointments. Okay. So each division contact will schedule a 30-minute virtual meeting for each of their level 3 and federally identified schools. Okay. So say you have 3 schools, you might pick school A goes at 2 o'clock on a certain day, school B goes at 2:30, and school C goes at 3 o'clock. So you can schedule them right in a row if you have multiple schools from your division. And then on our end, we will confirm that time. We'll go through and schedule that as a confirmed time, and we'll add the Zoom link. And so you have the information you need. And when we schedule that, what we'll do is schedule, if there's 3 schools, we'll send you 1 Zoom link, right? So you'll get an email back from us with that invite. Here's the Zoom link. Here's the information you need. And then you would share with your divisions, okay, school A, I need you there at 2:30. School B, I need you there at 3:30, whatever the times are. So if you have multiple schools, it'll be 1 Zoom link to make it easier for you. And then you'll share that invite also. So this is division contact. So principals aren't signing up for their own. You're working with your division contact to sign up for your time slot. So the division contact will also share that link again with the principals and whoever you've identified from your division to attend, right? So it's really, like Mike said, the principals are going to be sharing, but of course we want support in there so you can determine who best would be those key stakeholders to support and attend those meetings. Okay. The appointment slots will start September 20th. So when you get that link tomorrow, starting September 20th, there's available slots that day all the way through November 17th. There's a wide range of time there. Most of them are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pretty much all day, and then Friday mornings. Okay. If you find that you are unable to find a time slot that works for your division, of course, please reach out. We'll work with you to find a time that's appropriate. Mike, can you go back real quick? Thanks. Find a time that's appropriate for you. And again, I'd sign up as soon as possible. So we have the final deadline, hopefully to have everybody sign up is Wednesday, September 1st. But the sooner you can sign up, the better. And you'll have more choices. So you guys have a little jump start since you're attending today, but you're not getting the email until tomorrow. So you might have an opportunity to check in on some time so you're prepared when you do get that email tomorrow to sign up. Okay. All right. So that's how you're going to schedule the meetings. That's first and foremost, get it on your calendar so you know when your virtual meeting will be. All right. And then let's talk about preparing. Right. Well, your preparation for the meeting is what you're already doing. Right? We know all schools are writing and revising their comprehensive school improvement plan. So that work that you're doing is how you would prepare for the virtual meeting. There's no additional forms, there's no additional paperwork to fill out. It's just submitting to us your CSIP. Okay. So again, your division contact will be responsible for sending those 1 week prior to your visit. So depending on what date your visit is, and 1 week before, working with your division contact to make sure that that gets sent over to us so we have a chance to look at it prior to that meeting. Okay. If you are a federally identified school, right, you might have already submitted your CSIP with your SIG continuation application. So if that's the case, you don't need to resubmit. Right. If you've made some revisions or adjusted things and you have a revised plan, then please submit that if it's revised. Okay. But again, if you already have submitted it, you don't need to resubmit unless there's revision. Okay, so that's part of your preparation. So as you're thinking and you're doing this work right now, right, as you're thinking through this, how you're going to prepare for that visit, of course, your CSIP is going to address the upcoming school year, right? So making sure that those SMART goals and essential actions and action steps are aligned to the work you're going to be doing this year. Okay, consider, of course, that it's a comprehensive school improvement plan. So there should be essential actions and the action steps and things within your plan that address all students, right? And of course, you are going to maybe identify some specific student groups or specific content areas also within that, but also considering that comprehensive plan. Okay, as you're reviewing your plan and thinking about what you've included, ensuring that you have those specific timeframes. Right? We don't want to just say, I'm going to do everything from September to June, right? But where are those times that you're doing certain action steps? When are you pausing to check for implementation and monitor that data? Where are those kind of checkpoints throughout the year and what action steps are you doing when? Okay. Also start thinking about, right, as you're writing this plan and starting the new year, that baseline data, right? What student achievement data are you going to be using that you're going to monitor, right? So considering those data points, what's that data going to look like? And also the data you're going to use to show implementation and impact, right? So in addition to having that plan, start thinking about within that plan, what artifacts am I going to collect to show we've implemented these particular action steps? And what data am I going to use to show that we're making progress towards our SMART goals? So use those kind of framing thoughts as you're looking through your plan and considering what you have prepared to submit. Okay, so we're going to walk through the phases. So we did a CSIP 1 hour overview session August 5th, I believe it was. So some of you might have attended that. So you've seen this slide before. This is just the process of writing a CSIP, right? And you might already be completed. You might have gone through this process and yours might be ready to roll. You might be in the middle of it or still revising. So we wanted to go through this with you, right? So of course, that first phase is identifying those priority focus areas. What does the data tell you? What does your CNA show you are areas that you need to focus on for the upcoming school year, right? And of course, you're going to need to narrow those down, right? The priority focus areas. We don't want to, you can't do everything. You can't tackle it all. So what are those key things that you're going to focus on? Then you'd have those SMART goals, right, as a way to measure progress. Your essential actions, right, those strategies you're implementing, and then those detailed action steps. Okay, so that's the process kind of writing a CSIP. And then, of course, at the end there, we connect it to you're implementing it and monitoring your progress, implementation and monitoring. Okay, we'll also share with you another resource in addition to just looking at those phases. Another resource is a template. Okay, again, Mike shared this, you don't have to use this template. right? A lot of school divisions have their own, or you might already have something you've been working on. Use that, right? This is just a resource if you need a template. Please don't feel obligated to change anything that you've already done. Use what you have. But you can just see here the components, right? We've got that area of focus, the SMART goal, our essential actions, and then those action steps where you can list out all the things you're going to do. And you'll see there we also have the person who's responsible, right? Who's responsible for implementing those action steps? And what's that timeline? And what are the artifacts you're going to collect? And when are you going to monitor? Who's responsible for monitoring and how often that those action steps are taking place, right? We don't want to just have the best plan. You can have the best plan written in the world of all these things that are going to take place. But if we're not going back and revisiting that plan and checking in with our implementation and monitoring, then is the plan going to be implemented? And then we want to make sure we see those student outcomes, right? So we want to not only have the plan, but be working the plan. So having that template or having whatever document you use to fill in with all those components will help you do the work, okay? Another resource that we'll share with you is a CSIP checklist. So this is just the phase 4 checklist, but there's one for each phase of the 5 phases we showed you. So the checklist is, again, just another resource for you. We're not using the checklist as we look at your CSIP and have that virtual meeting. It's just a way for you to, as you're kind of reviewing your CSIP, do we have these things? Did we do this? Are my action steps in a logical order, right? Did I include the responsible person? Does my CSIP include timelines and deadlines for each action step? So it's just a way to kind of check off, yep, you've got these 4 components within your CSIP. Okay, so that'll be another resource we'll provide that you might find helpful. You don't have to use these resources. They're just available for those who would like. And then the last resource that we'll share with you is also an evaluation rubric. And again, we're not evaluating your CSIP, right? We're going to review them with you and provide some feedback, but it's not an evaluation. Okay, but this rubric would be a great self-assessment tool, right? So you might pull together your CSIP team and look at that CSIP and talk about, do we meet or exceed standards for each one of these areas, right? Use it as a way to guide your conversation about, do we have a solid plan that includes all these components, and that we'll have a way to monitor that. So those are some resources. So when we send that email to division contacts tomorrow, those resources will be attached, and that will help you in your development and review of your CSIP prior to submitting it to us, okay? All right, so you've scheduled your meeting, you've prepared, you got your CSIP, your OSQ contact sent it to us. Now it's the meeting day, right? So you have your virtual meeting. What's going to happen during that time, right? And it's just a 30-minute session, right? So it's a quick time for you to share as principals the highlights of your CSIP, right? We won't have time to go over every essential action and every action step and every SMART goal, right? It's 30 minutes. So we'll really try and focus on 2 or 3, right, that are aligned to your school quality or ESSA indicators, okay? We won't go over every line, okay? But it's a time for us to ask questions, you offer some support, some suggestions and feedback, right? Our goal here with this CSIP review and doing it in the fall is really to be proactive, right? To give you that review and have these conversations early on, so that'll help as you're going through and implementing your CSIP throughout the year. So for those of you who participated last year in monitoring, that was some of the feedback. The monitoring visits we had last year were later in the year. And so having some of this information up front, front loading, having conversations early on will help with you working through that CSIP throughout the year. So that's the purpose of this meeting, okay? We did list here some potential points of discussion, right? This is just so you're aware of what things we might ask based on how the conversation's going, right? So some things we might talk about in that 30 minutes is, how will you monitor implementation of the plan? Right? So you've got all these action steps and your essential action. How are you going to monitor that you're doing what the plan says, right? We talked about what artifacts are you going to use to show that you've met each action step. What's the frequency of monitoring, right? So we might ask, how often is your CSIP team meeting? And when are you doing these checkpoints on that data to make sure that the plan is being implemented? What information from your CNA helped you select the area of focus? Do you have necessary resources and supports to implement the action steps? Right? Is there anything that you need from us? And then what baseline data are you collecting? Again, during this first meeting, we're not looking at artifacts. We're not looking at data. We are just reviewing the plan, the CSIP. Okay, so we might ask, what data are you going to collect or what artifacts are you going to use? But we're not expecting you to have those resources or those data points ready to go. It's just a time to have a conversation about that CSIP, have some feedback, ask and answer questions, and provide some recommendations as you move forward. Okay, so that'll be the 30-minute meeting and it'll go quick, right? That's 30 minutes is a quick time. So again, we won't talk about everything. We'll talk about a few of those SMART goals or essential actions that are aligned to your school quality indicators, and that'll be it. We're just trying to be an extra layer of support for you in your work to improve your school. Right? And then after the meeting, right, when that meeting's over, right, you're going to implement the plan, right? So you're going to keep doing what you were doing, right? So following the meeting, we will send a follow-up report, right, which will have some commendations and recommendations on the parts of the CSIP that we talked about, right? Because again, we're only going to talk about, 2 or 3 essential actions based on the time we have, but we'll have some notes for you, okay, to consider. So you might then use those recommendations to apply to other essential actions. So maybe in our 30-minute conversation, we only had an opportunity to talk about a reading and a math goal, and we didn't get to a science goal. Maybe you had all 3, right? So you would take the feedback and the recommendations from the reading and the math and see, do any of those comments apply to the science goal, right? So that would just be available for you. Okay? And you'll just continue to implement and monitor, right? Keep doing the good work. Okay, make changes as necessary, right? You make some changes based off of our recommendations. You might be in the weeds and implementing that plan. And when you have some time when you're reviewing data and monitoring, you might realize, we need to make some adjustments to our plan. So you would continue to modify that CSIP, that adapt, right? As you're going, that reflect and reassess. Okay, monitor your EDIs and then request additional follow-up. Right? So we're here to support you in this work. So that follow-up might be focused on CSIP creation and development and monitoring. That follow-up might be focused on one of your essential actions, right? You might have an essential action related to systematic and aligned instruction, right? And you might decide as a leadership team, you want some additional support in that. And we can come in and do a technical assistance on providing quality feedback, aligning lesson plans, some of those key components. So in those conversations, you might decide what additional assistance you would want from our office. Okay, so we've gone through a lot, right? We've talked about scheduling. That's your first and foremost important thing. That's like the to do right away, right? After you get that email. Scheduling the meeting, how you're going to prepare, which you're already preparing, you're already writing your CSIP, or you might already have it done. What it'll look like during that 30-minute meeting and then after. So I want to pause here, since that's the fall, that's what's coming over the next few months, and provide an opportunity for questions or anything that I can clarify for you. Were there any questions maybe in the chat? I saw some pop up, but I didn't look at them. Anything that we want to address? There was one about scheduling, right, and the school division contact will schedule, and then they'll let you know. So once the school division contact is scheduled, they'll get an email from us with the Zoom link and all of that. Then they'll share it out to each principal for their division. All right, what other questions do you have right now? Okay. Well, we'll switch gears. I'm going to turn it back over to Mike, and he's going to switch gears to kind of the rest of the year and then other resources that are available. So if you think of anything, pop it in the chat, and we'll have time at the end too to ask and answer questions.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. So a little glimpse ahead of what's coming, and I know we're all, really focused in on the beginning of the school year and that first visit and what's going to happen and all of that. But we do want to share with you what's going to be coming up. And we're also going to tell you that with the mid-year meeting for our CSI schools and the spring visits that we're going to have with level 3 and CSI schools, we're going to provide additional training to build you up for that. So you don't have to memorize all of this right at this point, but we do want you to know what's going to be coming up. So the purpose of the mid-year virtual meetings is the focus will be given to the implementation of those EBIs, those evidence-based interventions. And the principals are going to share their data on that EBI monitoring process. What are you doing to monitor for implementation? Is there evidence of walkthrough observations, PLC information? Those are just a few examples. And send any data that you may have, and reflection and next steps. Share with us what is happening. And like we said, division contacts will participate in training on this process from mid-November to prepare for this. So we want you to be ready for that, but also remember, we're here to collaborate with you, we're here to support you, and to work with you and build you up to do this. So really to help you reflect on what are the best ways to improve your EBIs that you're using. In early spring, we're going to have that review of monitoring, implementation, and impact. And so the purpose of our spring virtual meetings, the principals, remember, it's key that the principal leads this discussion in these meetings. So we love the division folks, we want you there, but the principal as that instructional leader needs to lead this. We'll share the progress made on implementing and monitoring of that comprehensive school improvement plan, CSIP, monitoring for implementation. Tell us about how that is going. Is it with fidelity? Are you having some challenges? What can we help you work through? Monitoring for impact. What's the baseline? Where's the growth? Monitoring for resources, and always that reflecting, reassessing, and revision piece. And in January, just like we'll have in mid-November for our CSI schools, in January, division OSU contacts will participate in a training on the process for the early spring virtual monitoring meeting. So think about this, that we're having these fall meetings to really set you up for success with your school improvement plan. And then in the spring, coming back to it and seeing that impact and that implementation, how it's going. So we want you to have the best chance to be successful with student outcomes and student achievement for your school. Level 2 schools, this remains division level monitoring. So schools that have level 2 school quality indicators and any of the academic achievement indicators for all students in English, math, or science should revisit the CNA, update the comprehensive school improvement plan, and be monitored by the division. And we're going to send out that recertification form in early March. And so remember, it's a requirement the division monitors these, and their division superintendents must certify that monitoring is taking place. But we'll be getting that to you in early March. So remember, level 2 schools not off the hook, so still have to be monitored just at the division level. Follow-up support, and this is most important, and this is crucial. There are lots and lots of opportunities for OSQ, for DOE to provide support, and we want to do all we can to support you, your school, and your students, and students across the Commonwealth to be successful. And so we want to build you up, we want to help you, we want to answer any questions you may have, we want to support you in all of your efforts. And so if you are a principal and you're in this presentation and you hear some things you would like to have more training and guidance on, reach out to your division leadership, reach out to your school quality, off-school quality contact at your division, and have them contact us. And so we can arrange a 30-minute planning meeting. And if you're a division, contact OSQ, and if you want to have training, reach out to us. We will set up 30-minute planning meetings to discuss needs, audience, schedule, and we have our modules of understanding the continuous improvement process. That's module 1. Module 2 is conducting a comprehensive needs assessment. Module 3 is at developing a comprehensive school improvement plan. And module 4 is the implementing and monitoring of the CSIP. And again, you're in an implementing and monitoring training. We also have one coming up in September. And we also have trainings for module 2 and module 3 on the CNA and the CSIP. And we can tailor it to your unique context and your school division's needs and really make it work for you. And you can see how this lines up, this Virginia's Continuous School Improvement Planning process of the 4 modules that we have. And again, it's there for you. It's this training for you to support you. And so, you know, you may have had plans in the past. You may have been great at working at CSIP, but you might say, you know, we just never get to the root causes. We just never really figure out, you know, what the real problem is, and we're not really getting to, well, you know, we can do that CNA training for you, and we want to do that for you. Our office is ready to go with that. So we really want you to reach out to us. We're really looking forward to providing any kind of specific training and specific support and collaboration that you would like to have. And remember, all of this would go through the division leadership. Virtual visit scheduling information, just to recap, I know Rebecca did a great job sharing all this, but just to recap this, just hit this again. Division contacts will receive an email with a sign-up link and other resources. We'll mention those resources in just a minute. That's going to come out tomorrow afternoon to schedule a 30-minute virtual session for each level 3 and federally identified school using a Google Calendar appointment slots link. Once the invite is confirmed and the Zoom link has been added, the division contact needs to share that invite with the school principal, include division leadership, and the sign-up should be completed by Wednesday, September 1st. And, you know, we know that schedules are tight, and, you know, some of you have more schools to schedule than others, and we know principals, division leadership, you know, everyone's super busy. So if you're struggling with that, you know, getting a time, please email us, and we'll see what we can do to work with you. So just let us know, keep us in the loop, and we can do what we can. So make sure that you understand that how all this works, and the email we send out tomorrow afternoon is going to really go over this again as well. So really want to hit that. So what are the resources that your division contact is going to get tomorrow afternoon? Well, you're going to have the slides from the level 3 implementing and monitoring training, the slides that you have today. You're also going to get an example of a CSIP template, and I'm going to show that to you. I know that Rebecca shared a lot of this. You'll be getting this template. I know it's really small on the screen. I apologize for that. But you're going to get a copy of that. It's a Word document. You'll be able to use it you know, as you need to, or if you don't have to use it. This is just something that we recommend, but you can use your own form and your own plan. This one we think is a great one, but it is not mandated at all. We're also going to send you our at a glance of our comprehensive school improvement process, and this will hit the key high points, the who, why, when, what, all of it, explaining that. It's very informative. It will help you. We're going to send out the checklists that you saw, some of those that Rebecca shared earlier in the presentation. We're going to send you the evaluation rubric, and you know, the rubric there's a lot of information there, but it's helpful to look through that. So once you have, you know, your plan and you think it's pretty good, look at those pieces in the rubric, and that helps you to work through that. We're also going to be sending you slides from our presentation on our comprehensive school improvement plan. We will send this to you. So this was a presentation that was done earlier in August that will help you as well. We're also going to hopefully have the link soon to YouTube, the DOE YouTube channel of the recording of this presentation. So hopefully we'll be able to send that out to you soon, so so you have the slides and maybe even be able to have the audio as well. So a number of things you'll be getting, and that will be coming out in the email to the division contact. So just lots of information, lots of resources, and it can be daunting. And sometimes you get a lot of resources and it can seem a little overwhelming. So remember, we're here to assist and help. And so if there's any sense that you'd like for us to provide additional training, support, just to answer some questions about some of the documents, happy to do it, and to support your school in any way. Also encourage you, if you're not getting it, sign up for our quick takes. This is our monthly newsletter, very informative. And this also provides, and you can see there's the tiny URL link there to the quick takes. Encourage you to sign up to get that. And these are some of the topics coming up for this school year, 21-22. So we'll have quality feedback as one of our topics. coaching conversations, developing shared leadership, facilitating conversations for consensus, long-range data planning, and the list goes on. And so all of these things, when in the quick takes, so for instance, the one that will come out with quality feedback, not only will it highlight quality feedback, there will be a link to a webinar to go over that. There will be an at-a-glance document. There will be research documents that support that. There will also be opportunities for you to nominate staff members, leaders in your school who excel in that area. So the quick takes, has a lot of information, a lot of data. Also, we share a lot of information from other sources in DOE. So there's a whole range of things. So encourage you to sign up for that, to get that. Just provides a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways to expand your knowledge base and to get more support from the Office of School Quality. Some upcoming events. September 9th, we've referenced this a few times, but now you can see it on the screen. Between 9 and 10 a.m. on September 9th, we'll have a 1-hour webinar. It's an overview of implementation and monitoring. Kind of takes some more of the details you're hearing about today, kind of discusses more of that. I encourage you to come to that. Will help build your knowledge base on implementation monitoring. Also, we have the evidence-based intervention webinar. In October, we had one a couple months ago for our federally identified schools. This will be another webinar. It's for anyone from 9 to 10. And again, that information on that will be out in our September quick take. So if you're piqued in your interest to learn more about EBIs, sign up for that quick take and get more information about EBIs in September. So that'll be coming out soon. Some contact information for those of us that are here presenting with you. So all of us here, Dr. Lisa Martin, Danielle Henderson, Dr. April Kaiser-Edwards, Marvana Bennett, Vidal Abed, Rebecca Hall, Mike Nelson. And I apologize, earlier I said Dr. April Kaiser-Edwards had regions 3 through 7. I left out 8. I thought it was just an accidental omission. So sorry, if you're from region 8, I apologize. So Dr. Kaiser-Edwards also has region 8 too. So love for region 8. So sorry about that. And you'll get, obviously, these slides. You get all that contact information. A new feature that we have is called Quality Time. So every third Thursday of the month from 8:30 to 10, the Office of School Quality staff will be available for appointments to answer questions and provide support. This is like office hours for schools and divisions. So the next session of Quality Time will take place on September 23rd from 8:30 to 10 a.m. 15-minute appointments can be made using the link. See the link below. And like I said, we'll also be sharing that when you get the slides, you'll have that as well. I want to state your division name and title and discussion topic. We wanted you to do that so we can be prepared to help you in the best way possible. Once the appointment is approved, you'll receive a Zoom link for the meeting. The Office of School Quality staff, we really want to provide that personalized support through the Office of School Quality Time. Presentations like this are great. Webinars are great. But we really want to provide that assistance to you to really every school, every division. As we all know, this is unique and different with its own special challenges and successes. And we want to be able to provide exactly what you need in every context. We also are committed to continuous improvement in our own office. And so it's very important for us to get your feedback. And so we'd love for you to complete our feedback survey here on the screen. You can do that, go to that survey, and you can provide us feedback. That's the only way we can improve as if we can hear from who we're presenting to in schools and division leadership, because we always want to be better for you and for students and teachers. And we also, so that's a lot, presented a lot in a very short amount of time. And so if you have any questions, if you want to put those in the chat now before we wrap up for today. Are there any questions? It gives everyone time to complete that feedback survey, give everyone time to think of any questions they may have. And if you're like me, I'm always a person that once the presentation has been over for about 20 seconds and I'm out of it, then out of the meeting, then I remember, oh yeah, I should have asked this question. So remember, you've got our emails, you've got that contact information. Certainly reach out to us if you can't think of a question now, but we'll wait Give you a minute to complete that feedback survey. Give you a minute to think of any questions.
Mike, excuse me, Mike, I did get one question just in the chat to me. If you could go back just so they could see one more time, slide 6, it's the slide that has like the fall, winter, spring, just to clarify who's participating in which visit.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had someone ask about this just in a private message. I just wanted to, I know you'll get it in the slides tomorrow, but just to see, so fall, right, is all level 3s in any federally identified schools. Okay, and then that winter visit is just the CSI schools. Okay. And then spring, again, is everybody, all the level 3 in any federally identified schools. So it's 2, everybody has 2 visits, right? A fall and a spring. The fall is the CSIP review. The spring is the monitoring and implementation and impact. And then those CSI schools, they get that extra winter one, focusing on their EBIs. Okay. Thank you for asking, the person who asked as well. Any other questions? Feel free to just pop them in the chat.